Welcome to Laid Back Takes, the Fortnite show that says no to rage bait and yes to analysis. For our main story today, we're going to be covering the brightest player in all of Fortnite. I am of course talking about the 15-year-old Romanian genius, that is Shxrk, and more specifically, what his future might look like if the competitive mode switched to trios. Let's just get straight into it. Now look, before you panic, don't worry, there is no confirmation that we are switching to trios for next year. This is all just speculation. We could very well have duos again in 2027, and I do have an opinion on that I will get into before we discuss Shxrk. I do believe that we should stick with duos, and the main reason for that is because there are so many narratives that will be left unfinished if we switch modes at this point. And this is actually what I was saying at the end of 2025 too. I wouldn't have minded another year of trios, obviously without the surge trading, because there were narratives that we didn't get to see come to a conclusion. For example, we didn't get to see Queasy, Swizzy and Murstache defend their Globals title. Vico, Venom and Flixie would have split, and it would have been interesting to see what the ramifications would have been regarding new trios. We didn't get to see Peterbot and Poyo run it down as a trio with a third player, so that there were so many things that we could have seen, but we were kind of robbed of the opportunity to have. And don't get me wrong, I do prefer duos. That's not something that I've always necessarily said. Back in chapter 2, I was heavily in the camp that trios should always be the competitive game mode, but I just feel like there are so many narratives right now that are happening in duos, and it would be such a shame if they were to just get completely stopped by the switching of the game modes. I am of course talking about Sky and Skrull. They have won back-to-back majors, and it would seem like such a shame just to rob them of the chance to do that again, to go 3 times back-to-back. I mean, we all want to see that. We all want to see Sky and Skrull stick together. Same thing with Shxrk and Teeny. Can they finally get their FNCS win? Everyone wants to see that. Can Peterbot and Poyo get their duo win? There's so many things left to happen, to discuss. Like, duos shouldn't be done yet. We shouldn't be switching. Now, anyway, the main focus of this video is Shxrk, and if we did get trios back, who should he play with? Now, we have more or less confirmation that if trios did come back for 2027, Shxrk would play with Sky and Skrull. And firstly, that team's too good. That team is far too good, and the main reason why I don't want that to happen is because they would just dominate. They would win everything. I mean, Sky and Skrull are already just ridiculously consistent. We saw that in the Major 2 finals. Literally no team on the region could get anywhere near to the quality that they were producing. They were just insane. When you add Shxrk to that mix, I dread to think of the levels they could hit. I mean, we should be happy because we would have by far the best team in the world, but from a competitive perspective on EU, it might get a bit boring. Now look, there are some debates over whether Shxrk would actually fit Sky and Skrull's playstyle. Of course, Sky and Skrull, not the most aggressive team in the lobby, whereas Shxrk always likes the W key, especially in the mid game. I do think that Shxrk could just bend to however Sky and Skrull play, though. I don't think that he's necessarily boxed into just being a fighter. But at the same time, I do think he would lose a bit of his aggression if he played with Sky and Skrull, and ultimately that kind of flair, that firepower is what people love about him, and it would be a shame if he was to lose a bit of that and to play in a more organised, systematic way. So look, the Triple S duo, I support it. It would be insanely good, but my issue here is that nobody is advocating for Teeny and Shxrk to stick together and look for a third for trios, because that is what I want to see. That is the option that I would like Shxrk to take. Not least because it would make EU far more competitive, but because Shxrk and Teeny have a ridiculously strong connection with each other. They bring out the best in each other when they play. They give each other boosts. I mean, we can see that because Teeny has become infinitely more aggressive since playing with Shxrk. His fighting has improved. And with Shxrk, he's become more grounded. He's mellowed. He's matured as a player. He understands competitive more. And that is because Teeny's game knowledge is rubbing off on him. They both honestly just make each other way better. I think it's as simple as that, and I think if you take Shxrk out of that duo and you put him with Sky and Skrull, he does become a different player, arguably even a better player. But what Teeny offers him, what Shxrk offers Teeny, you can't underestimate that, and I would love to see it continue for another year if trios was to return. Shxrk did say recently that if Teeny asked him to play trios, he would be willing to. Now this message was before the whole Sky and Skrull announcement, so I'm not sure if that offer's still on the cards, but it's nice to see that Shxrk is considering his options, and I do hope he genuinely gives some thought to playing with Teeny. However, one of the reasons why people aren't too high on the whole Teeny thing is because of how he played in trios back in 2025, because let's face it, he had a pretty poor year. I think that's fair to say. I will say it's overblown. He wasn't as bad as people make out. The majors weren't great. He got 16th in Major 1, 25th in Major 2, but then 12th in Major 3, which was only 44 points away from Global's qualification. He was not that far off making it to Leon. So Yes, he wasn't great, but he also wasn't as bad as people make out. I mean, he was playing with Trulex and Skivvy for Major 3, and not to be harsh, but neither of those players have gone on to have successful 2026s, whilst Teeny has. So I do think had he had slightly better teammates, it would have been a different story. Trios is arguably a harder dynamic for Teeny to play. He is an IGL. He does like to instill his philosophy of lurking into his gameplay, and when you're trying to set up lurks, it's much easier to do that as a duo than it is when you've got a third extra player. So fair enough, people aren't high on Teeny, but I do think we need to give him a chance. I mean, he's improved so much in the last few months, and I do feel like it would be a different story to 2025 if he did play in trios. The question though is, who would their third be? Who would be the player that they would pick up? And I have a bit of an out-of-the-box shout for this that I'm not sure you guys are going to agree on. I'm going to play a clip from my stream the other day where I did discuss this, and the chat wasn't 100% in agreement with me, but I do still feel like there's a lot of logic here. One of the optimal options for Shxrk and Teeny, if they were to look for one for trios, would be Velo. Because Velo is someone that doesn't try and take charge, he doesn't try and do too much, he's a very good fighter, he's very good at just supporting, knowing his role, knowing what to do. He got 9th in Grands. He's someone that's on the up. He's only getting better. Mental side of his game needs some work. Don't quite know how he'd sort of fit playing with Teeny. Is he on the same level as them right now? No. Is he as good a fighter? No. But does he fit like the criteria that you need, like in terms of a dynamic? Yes, he does. I'm not saying he's the best option, but I'm just saying he would work. Mental needs work. I don't know if he'd have enough fragging power if you play with Shxrk and Teeny. There's better options, but I don't think there's like that many better options. Like I think if you're making a short list of who would work for that role and who would also be like realistic to get, I think Velo is like a lot higher than most of you guys would think. Now I want to reiterate, Velo isn't the best option, he isn't the optimal choice here, but because of what he does, because of the role he offers, I do think he is like the perfect system player for Shxrk and Teeny. Like, he's not going to try and do too much. Teeny can IGL, Shxrk can be the primary fragger, and Velo can just fill in the gaps. He can do all the dirty work. I feel like this works so perfectly. Like, fair enough, you could build like a star power team, you could put Vico in, you could put Focus in, and I do think Vico probably is the optimal choice here, but he is also a talisman. He doesn't really want to play as a support player. He would have to be the main fragger. So I think there's an argument that if Shxrk and Teeny picked up someone like a Velo, who is still very good, rather than a tier 1 pro, I think that could potentially work for them. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that in the comments. Let me know who you think Teeny should be picking up, but I don't know. I've just got a feeling that could work. Now look, for the second half of this video, I want to discuss the last chance finals. Now this is what was meant to be Major 3. Of course, we know that Major 3 has been cancelled, but we did still get a really good Summit LAN and solo FNCS later in the year, so it's not all doom and gloom. Listen, this is the final opportunity for teams to qualify for globals. I'm going to briefly explain the qualifying format to you if you're not sure. We have 2 sets of 3-round qualifiers, which basically culminate in 25 teams each qualifying for a set lobby finals on the 14th of August. The top 3 duos in that set lobby finals that haven't already qualified to globals will get global spots. It's 6 games, it's just 1 day of competition, and it's the top 3 duos that will be making it through. So it's going to be difficult. I mean, there's so much quality on the EU, it's going to be so hard to make it through. Now let's take a look at the top 25 teams that have already secured passage through. The names that I want to pick out, the key team is Alba and Una, and that's because Alba, the best female Fortnite pro player in the world by a country mile, has qualified for a Grands. I know this isn't an FNCS and we shouldn't be treating it as an FNCS either, but this is still a huge achievement and I'm really excited to see how she performs in the finals. Credit to Una too, very underrated player as well, someone that deserves a lot more credit, and yeah, I do think they're gonna show what they're made of in these finals. A couple of other teams of interest, we've got Mr. Savage and Truly qualifying through. Their form has been really impressive lately. Of course, they won the game in the last chance qualifiers. Grands wasn't great. Day 2 they did struggle, but on day 1 I thought they looked really good. They finished inside the top 10, so we've seen what they're capable of. I'm definitely sold on the duo. I initially had my doubts, but Truly is very impressive. Savage has been playing a lot better as well, and I'd love to see them qualify for globals. In terms of the rest of the leaderboard, we've got Rax and Yanis who finished in first place. It's key to note that all the duos that have already qualified to globals can compete in this tournament. It's not just the teams that haven't made it yet, so it's going to be a super stacked finals. We've got a lot of other interesting teams 2, the new duo of Skyjump and Dew. Now these guys have actually played together in the past, and I thought they looked really good back at the start of Chapter 7, and they have now qualified in their first finals together for quite some time. We've got Shxrk and Finalists playing together. The deal is now with Pradaj. That's a really interesting dynamic. Pradaj, of course, a hard IGL. The deal can follow him. I really liked what I was seeing from them, actually. It's a fun team, to say the least. We've got a lot of changes on the France front. We've got Kira now playing with Podosai, which means that Mumsy is back with Sato and Karama is back with Werex. So definitely some big wholesale changes when it comes to French Fortnite. And finally, Seti and Yapko have qualified for these finals, which is exciting to see. Of course, we've seen this duo in the past. It didn't work out then. Potentially it could work out now though, because taking a look at the map, we can see that Seti is landing right near Cammy, and you know, if you know your Fortnite history, this could very much benefit Seti. These are two old teammates that will be, I'm sure, giving each other a helping hand. So Seti to Globals could very much still be on the cards. Now, I'm not going to spend any time talking about the duos that didn't make it, because we do still have another set of qualifiers, but it is worth noting that Sky and Scroll, Vico and Malabuka, and Shxrk and Teeny all did not make it into the top 25. Definitely a surprise, but listen, I'm pretty confident they're all going to make it next week, so I don't think we need to be worrying too much. One other key thing to note is that we had 3 M8 players qualify for these finals. They were, of course, Akira, Vanya, and Marius, which is super exciting because right now the only Gentlemates player qualified for LAN is Virgo. So we want to see the Gentlemates support out in force in Antwerp. We need as many Gentlemates players there as possible. So hopefully one of these guys can get the job done on Friday the 14th. In terms of Mongrel news, he played the tournament with Tom UK, who is a player that, I will be so real with you, I don't know anything about. So I don't have a huge amount of analysis to give here. They weren't able to qualify, but hopefully they can get the job done at the next time of asking, because we'd all love to see Mongrel in these finals. We want to see Mongrel get the chance to qualify for Globals. Listen, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.